I think they've got some Morris dancing going on up here, or going to. There's musicians in brightly coloured garb, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's not Morris dancing, maybe it's Rover 2000, Riley Pathfinder, that type of dancing, I don't know. Be interesting. Well, they're having a sort of tune-up session. This is I think they called it a wartime briefing room here. Let's have a look and see what it looks like. This will be what it's like, First World War equipment.
Yes, this is First World War.
Oh, that's good. That's lovely. Well, thank you very much for that.
And then they've got the other type of camp bed and the sort of emergency stuff.
I remember playing with one of those as a kid. I'm not quite First World War, but but you know, I remember my grandfather left it in the shed, and I got it out as a kid playing with them.
We used to have these at guide camp in the 70s.
Oh, really?
So yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's basic.
Yeah. It's just a canvas bucket.
It's usable. It's usable. Yeah. It's movable, usable, functional. Does the job. I mean, what would you want? You know, wash, seat, bed. End of. That's really your basic survivals and something to eat. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you very much for that. Here is the. I've got it. I've come in the wrong way. Look, this is the briefing room. There's the briefing man's hat. All the goodies there. The iconic Spitfire. So this is where all the briefing was undertaken. That's where it was. They didn't have the glasses like Top Gun. Now guys, what I want you to do tomorrow, we're going on a bombing run. You had to talk like Dad's army. We're going over here, we're just going to take a look along here. Smith, come with me, boy. This is like a prefab. This is a different building. Lovely little gardens like this. This used to be old school. My granny had stuff like this. It's the entrance to the house. And all bolt together. Sort of prefab type building. Similar to the one I've seen before. God, I can remember the traditional 3 flying ducks on the wall. Draw leaf tables. Oh my God, he used to sell those. How old does that make me feel? Coal scuttle, or probably that looks like could be a Coke scuttle. Probably take you guys back a few years, some of the older ones. Take a look through here. Lovely old basket, look. I don't know what the light's like in here, people. Might be okay. Lid in the cupboard. Bathroom, functional, basic, did the job. Porcelain bowl, necessary. I had one of those. I didn't have one. I was in one of those in the early 1950s, being pushed along in 1952. I remember it well. And about 5 years later it was dumped, and my granddad got the wheels off it, put the frame further apart, got one of his friends to bolt it up, and we made an old wooden go-kart out of it. And that's the truth. I didn't actually myself play with the Dolly's house. Small bed, toy room. I'll have to put this on extension to get around there. Lean out because you're all roped off. Interested to see these places. Ceilings. Was there some stuff called fiberboard years ago they used to make these out of? And there's a bedroom with a cot. The old dressing tables. Bed. When I used to go on holiday with my gran in the school holidays, this is 4 years ago. Hopefully not, because she's 6 feet under or more. She had an eider down from the eider duck, and I always remember it. Used to get to bed. There was no heating. There was no central heating in her house. It was just an eider down. It was so heavy. It was unbelievable. It's so cosy and warm at night, and I always used to feel safe up there, even though I was frozen. Once your body was underneath it, they'd tuck you back in, and not cold all night. Nowadays we have to have a thermostat cranked up. I don't, but people are just heat mad now. And all these people, but look, survive. Look, trust me. There's no. Tell me where the radiator is in here. They all survive. These people. It shows you how wimpy we are now. Oh, it's a lovely flower. Look at this one, guys. This is lovely, beautiful. Call it a flower. It's actually a bush, isn't it? So, guys, with the apps, who's got them? Who's got the app to tell us what this one is? Look at the birds. Birds. Take two on that. Look at all the bees in there. Absolutely loaded with bees, this bush is. And this is, look, October time. Absolutely smothered. Somebody's got to tell us what this is, because the bees absolutely love it. And here is the Dig for Victory. We'll end up doing all this. We're all going to be doing this in the future. We might, grandchildren will do. Dig for Victory. It says there, wanted 500,000 more allotment holders. But it does at least show you what you can do if you plant stuff. These have all been pulled because it's I'm at the end of the season. Can you point me in the direction of this way, or is it that way? Oh, I'll go this way. These are the scarecrows. This one's called Sydney the Scarecrow. It must make their arms ache being out like that all the time. I think they should make one up here with a stick pointing like a gun and the other arm folded in. If you look on our house, we've got one at the back called Dougie. I've tried to give him a better pose than a rigid one like that. It's just a personal take on how the scarecrow should look. You've got the chickens in there, chicken coops. I actually kept bantams as a kid, believe it or not, on the back lawn. And then I think Mr. Fox got them. These ones are called Dorking chickens. I don't know what that is. I remember there was an old plant. Were they called nasturtiums? These ones? So this was a day out, a bit different. Down where I drive a lot of the time. I was out filming with Mike. Mike had a filming job down there on the Butler's Ancient Farm, and we got to see a lot of the buildings. Now they do a lot of school educational trips there, so we have to pick a time and get called in when the schools aren't down there, and they're all recreated. Look, with the original type of wide floorboards that these buildings had. We got to walk right round them, even down to the nails. They recreate everything right down to the original style of nail that they used to forge, I would guess. I don't know. I love the old wicker basket there. I do indeed have one of those. And look at the square central fireplace there, surrounded by what's like wood. Has it got a clay insert? It's got the wood on the outside. And Mike had various filming jobs he was doing there on different sections. And some of these buildings are enormous. I could say no more. They are full size, not just family, but sort of communal living. And the Butler's, call it, I say it again if I put my teeth in, the Butler's Ancient Farm is an open air museum, and it's down in my home county of Hampshire. And it contains a huge variety of old buildings, including, look at this one, very, very early. It's going to be a hazel sort of wickerwork dome with animal hide tied in sections over the top. Now you think, my God, that's terrible. But if it was freezing cold and raining and you could keep relatively warm and dry back in those times, would you not relish doing that? And because here is an area where they do a lot of demonstration flint knapping, which would be cutting the flint stone or chipping away at it to make flint arrowheads, flint axes, cutting implements from pieces of flint, obviously. And you can learn. It's called flint knapping. It's not particularly easy, for sure, but this is one of their areas that they do shows from and instructionals, and they just got a light thatch all over that, I guess, to give you a bit of screen if it was raining. And look at the size of the site. I mean, we had fabulous weather there, absolutely superb. Why can't I get days like this for fishing? Yes, it was in the winter. You can see them wrapped up against the cold. Mike's wrapped up on the phone by the look of it. Oh no, I think he's flying the drone. I think we did drone footage here and he's flying the drone. This is a left-handed cow, I'd imagine, because the shape of the horns. But if you look at the intricate work weaving in the background, how they used to make these buildings over different years, a huge range of Anglo-Saxon buildings. I mean, they all go back thousands of years. They've got their, look at this, what is that, an axe? Looks like a bone axe, is that? I don't know, to be honest. But you can see in the background how everything is lashed down. And I believe they use stuff like flax. This one's a different building. Look, I don't know, it's a clay floor, but it's a high apex building, probably for storage and or living quarters. Area up there, which again I suppose you would store stuff to keep it up there away from rodents or for the temperature. I don't know, but the work that goes into these buildings is quite phenomenal, really. And of course the seat they're made with an animal hide for warmth. And don't forget, back in the early years we didn't just walk into a supermarket. That looks like, actually does look like flax. Maybe it's made from the New Zealand flax, which they can make ropes and things. Almost looks like one of those dream catchers there. So really interesting place to go, but look at the construction they make. And there you can see just by my size how tall those roofs are, what, 18 feet high, I'd imagine, something like that. Certainly plenty of high, and what I call a steep apex roof. Very dark, but of course don't forget you'd have the communal fireplace as well, and all they slept on there was a bed with animal skins, and I imagine they must have made it softer, maybe with straw or something like that. And there's a animal hide being strung out and stretched, and a really unusual, it looks like a stained glass window, but in fact it is a sort of stained window made of animal skins, dried out and I imagine treated, I don't know. So a big area. It's focused a lot on education and research. It's open to visitors, and often it hosts, as I say, a lot of variety of workshops which are used for teaching and basically keeping alive all those ancient skills. They got Roman villa, a Celtic village, a Stone Age farm, Saxon halls, which are those really big buildings, and it's sort of like stepping back in the past. Look, 800 BC. Don't make the door too much. You'd think they make a wood one, wouldn't you, instead of a hide one? But it is all supposed to be authentic, and that's how they make the sort of, I'm going to call it plaster and lath one with hazel, but I don't know what they make the outside material of. Is it with a clay, or is it with a sort of a lime? I don't know. And a lot of this work is done by a dedicated, expanding volunteer team of people doing all this work. It doesn't just make itself. And the actual story of Butzers began with a trial site back in 1972. So a big site for anyone interested in archaeology, animals, architecture, and of course rural life. It's worth a visit. And there you can see a really weird type of goat and a sort of goat hut to keep them warm. Out he comes. Obviously, in the years ago, he would become dinner and obviously warmth from the skins. There is the weirdest sheep, I believe, I have ever seen. You wouldn't want to be there on a dark night, would you? 4 horns? Maybe? Being Captain Stupid, it's called something like a 4-horned sheep. Here's another different one, different period. Experiment in progress. Quite high walls. Again, a central fireplace. straight on the floor with a cooking tripod, and that one indeed is still smouldering. So obviously the whole of your village or survival really would revolve around fire, and as always we know if you can soon get some fire going, you feel better because you can then generate heat, and of course you can cook what you want. And there I imagine is the charcoal, which they must have made years ago, and because that can be burnt on there as well. In fact, if you, even that small flame of that piece of log burning, if you put charcoal on there, it will catch and burn for a long time. Might continue with his filming job, but you can tell a lot of these buildings, they might look all the same because they're thatched, but they're actually all different shapes, sizes, thatch, outside panelling, more animal skulls. That one looks like a horse to me. Does anybody know? It strikes me as a long horse. It's like the horse that went into a bar and the barman said, "Why the long face?" No, don't laugh. I think those are called liggers. I've used those when we built a Saxon house on Mike's TA outdoors. I could never really figure out how they worked, and I had a lot of trouble with them. And they've got doorways and a strange, I'm calling it a strange sort of rib system to the roof there, or rafters, with circular supports there. And if I just pan up the top, they don't all touch at the top. Does that make sense? I can't see. Is it? They're all tied together right at the top by something. Maybe they are. And it's outside and I just can't see it. But I'm holding the camera upside down trying to get the angle of the roof. And beautiful thatching there, look at that. No, I'm not 15 feet tall. I've got the GoPro camera on a great big pole. And there you can see the circular ridges they put in there, I imagine of hazel, bind them together, and then they bond to that with a thatch, which I notice is all the top leaf of the sheaves at the top, and they trim it down and curl it. And this one's, I imagine, still been working, or a work in progress, because it's been trimmed and all the thatch is on the bottom. And if you work back then, you wouldn't be wasting that cut grass. And you can see there the thatch bundles ready to go up. I've moved many of those with Mike when he used to go down to Devon. We used to have to drive down to Devon, and I remember loading up my car with dozens of them, tying the lid down at the boot, coming back, and quite a few had slid out and bounced down the road. Oh dear. I guess they blame a farmer. This gentleman is working on, I'm going to call that shingles, like wood shingles there. He's working on a roof and attaching shingles. I'm calling them shingles, wood shingles, probably made from ash. Just let the man get on with his job. Now you can see the dark where it ages down, and I guess he's fitting those new ones there, and he's just left enough space there, you can see behind his feet, so that he finishes the top ridge and then moves down, I'm guessing. I didn't like to disturb him, or get him to take a step backwards and say move back a bit. A laborious job, but it's got to be done. So that's you know the wood shingles there will be moving on from the thatch, but the thatch is absolutely amazing because we've got various buildings we thatched, and it's amazing just how long it lasts and how dry it keeps you the inside. And they don't waste any hazel like this. That would be the main wood that they use for tying across the main rafters. As you can see, everything is related to animal skulls, heads, whatever. Look at the size of that against Mike there. They're huge buildings. And of course the long overhang at the edge, you can see the logs stored under there, so they would stay dry. I'm not quite sure how they had a sawmill, but they're all nicely, neatly sawn, stacked up, And there to the right are hazel, which I imagine they would have used for kindling to light those fires. And some of them have not a straight cone, but a sort of curved saddleback type of thatch to it, and a swept arch at the front for the entrance to the doorway. Those of a spooky disposition, turn away now. Inside, look, you can see some of the things that have been made out of the timber, seating. Beautiful countryside out there, very, very neat thatching there. And they obviously, years ago, would have had their herds of goats, sheep, nearby, chickens, because don't forget it is a food source. You wouldn't want them out too far from where you live because you get them eaten by other predators, or indeed stolen by other tribes. I believe this is how they raise the apex to hold the A-frames up. Can you see with the rope and that apex? And this is a huge hallway, like a sort of, I don't know, maybe a Viking hall, that type of thing there. Maybe a Saxon hall. And I think they raise the main structure up first, because bear in mind it'd be a team of people working on all the timber work to start with. Before you even started building the walls around the outside, you've got to raise these sort of A-frames up, I'm guessing. And they don't strip back the bark for some reason on that. Now when we built stuff with Mike, we've stopped any decay and moulding. We strip all the bark off and using a draw knife, and then we burn the ends of the wood because you're putting them in the ground, and that stops any nasties eating away at the logs and wood. So they don't seem to have done that there, but I'm sure they would do. This one has got, it's a sort of, what is that, like a shiplap on its edge with clay jammed in there and some wood pegs, dowels driven right through. So they put the clay there like a sort of what we would call chinking, which keeps all the drafts out. Again, those haven't been stripped, the bark's still on that cross beam. And the thatching's all tied in there. Just thought it would be interesting showing this sort of stuff. A nice lattice work portico, I'm going to call that, to the main hallway there. And a heck of a lot of thatching. Notice how it comes right down to the ground there. That's what I mean when I said a lot of these buildings are all very slightly different. And that one, it virtually is touching the grass. I dare say it's just above the grass or ground level, because otherwise you would get some damp. And there's Mike, who's with one of the instructors and doing a film there for, I believe, their channel, on trying to get a fire going. And whether they do or not, I wouldn't want to wait there too long. I much prefer the use of a lighter. This is almost, for me, impossible to do, lighting a fire like this. You've doubtless seen it on other programmes. Then they call it just a fire drill, hand drill for fire. You have to get charcoal going first, a little burn, a little piece of black glowing coal, I think they call it. Well, that was something a bit different, wasn't it? You know, I mean, I like to put up different stuff if I can. What else has been going on exciting? Oh yeah, good news, but not good news, if that makes sense. I go up for my annual pilgrimage to the River Wye at Hereford, fishing on that Hereford and District stretch. Day ticket stretch. Go to Woodies, get the lowdown on the fish. He said there's quite a boom of chub at the moment. So I thought, I wonder if I can find some barbel, to get a barbel or two. Well, in 2 7-hour sessions, I got, if you see our Facebook page, I think it's up there, 16 barbel with several 6-pounders. Couldn't get any bigger ones, you know, 7s and 8s. I had about, I don't know, 30, 40 chub or more. A lot of chub, but man alive, I got 2 big chub. I don't know, one's 5-ish, I should think. Biggest chub I've ever caught out of the River Wye. I mean, you'd be pushed normally, I don't get a 4-pounder out there, so this was a totally different animal. But it didn't have weight to it. Now, a lot of you guys won't remember this, but there's a guy called Dick Walker. years ago who used to think the Hampshire Avon chub weighed very light, and he had, one of you people out there will know it, one of you older guys, he had a theory that it was a Pomphoricus laevis or something, some bug that's inside them eating their intestines away or something like that. So you'd have a big chub that should go 6 pounds and it only weighs 5 pounds, but it's just a big fish, doesn't carry the body weight. Does anybody out there remember Dick Walker? I know people will. He was a proper superhero of the time. And the Pomphoricus laevis, God, I haven't even had a drink, I can't even say it. Anyway, the moral of the story is, when you go barbel fishing on the Wye, be careful what you wish for. You might want one barbel and you end up like me with 16 of the puppies. Brilliant. Talk about killing the cat by choking it with cream. I love them. However, my 50-year-old Ava rod, oops a daisy, I'm wading out between some willow trees, pulling back, got the barbel here about 5-6 pounder, trying to get it up. Know not to do that angle with it, but because there's a tree there, I just duck down, just give that little bit extra, come in fast current, it's pulling on the fish. And then, oh no. Well, worry not people, because I went in to see another Graeme who works in Grant's shop, because I was going to consider doing this to it. I thought what I was going to do was have to saw back here, just keep cutting back, until I found an area, you know, where the spigot that held this, because it's not hollow, this is a piece of solid glass in there. And I thought it's never going to happen, you know, it's just going to get shorter and shorter and shorter until I find the right depth, cut the ring off, slide it down. But as the other Graeme said, if I care to take all the rings off of this, which I don't, I could slide it up here, there. I could slide it, if you can imagine that, right down the inside, it will come out the other and pinch nice and tight. But to be honest, I can't be bothered whipping all these tiny rings back on again, and they're epoxied. So he took it out the back of the shop, and he actually, I don't know how he did it, he drilled the end of the solid spigot out there. He said it came down like a couple of 3 inches, couple of 2.5 inches maybe. So now, if I shave the end of this down a bit, take that one ring off, I should be able to just slide it in enough, just in there, just so I can glue it in with Araldite and get the old girl working again. So, it's taken me all those years to break it, totally break it, I mean break it, but I feel it can be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. So, what else exciting happened? Oh yeah, walking along down our local high street, I was on the way to Grant's shop actually, walking along, and I've been moaning about these boots being really heavy on my poor old feet, walking miles up and down the riverbank, filming, fishing. I thought, I've got to get new boots. Let's go into one of these sports shops, she says, and we go in there. So we go into the sports shops and purchase a lovely pair. I don't want shoes. I wanted ones that, if you can imagine, they come up your ankles a bit more. I don't know what you guys are like, and I haven't got much meat on the bone. And going to the podiatrist, the lady said, basically a walking skeleton on my feet. I have to get pads in there, so I have to put another pad in there. So I get the right size. I'm normally a 9.5, my mother used to tell me, and don't forget the half. Now they don't make them like that apparently. So I have to get a 10 and then put those inside. Anyhow, I bought these two, go to the till, get the card out, and the guy says, young guy, he said, would you do a YouTube channel? I says, oh yeah, I do a YouTube channel. He said, well, I'm a fisherman. I watch it all the time. So chit chat, talking to the guy, I've done you a bit of discount on there, he goes, which is very nice of him. So I said, I'll give you a shout out. So listen, James, thanks for the recommendation of the boots. Thanks again for the discount, and a shout out for James, and these will be well worn. Anybody wants to give me a shout out, or I'll get a shout out for them if they want to pay my council tax bill, my energy bill, my oil tank bill, I'll shout them all out if they want to pay. I'm not proud. Moving on, I found these, which were a bit different. I'll show them to you again if I can get them out of the packet. Just some they won't be much good to me. I don't suppose, but I don't know. I'm going to try them. They're made by a company called Fish, because there's 1, 2, 3 eyes in there. A pair of glasses. I'll show you closer. They came from Dave Kiddy's when I was doing down interviews with him. Now they've got this sort of tortoiseshell effect there, and they're called, I can't even read them, Big Fish 1983 for some reason. They're nice and light, and that amber colour there I normally use the regular sort of grey polarising. Now I have to have prescription ones, and prescription ones for me, obviously they're for my own eyes, so that's what I wear all the time, but they're pretty dark. They are full polarising, bright sunny day, brilliant, half light, not so good. And also these amber ones, in case you didn't know, amber tint is often very good for water that's slightly off colour, if that makes sense. And the bone fishermen and the flats guys used to tell me that on the flats, so they're slightly not coloured water, but the weed makes it look a bit coloured. These amber ones would suit. Now I'm wondering, I've tried it, I've got a pair of glasses in my driving ones here, so if I go trout fishing, I don't do much carp fishing now, for spotting fish, these are wide enough and light enough, I could just do this. So I've got my prescriptions underneath, and I've got these pair on top. Now of course, they're balanced. They look sort of incredibly stupid for a man wearing two pairs of glasses, but I assure you, if there's a trout swimming past there, I could catch them, and I haven't even got to be going home to get all my gear. I could be leaving a rod and reel in the car and just driving around like I used to, just in case I ever find any fishing like that. Or, let's face it, we all like standing on a bridge, don't we? What angler doesn't like leaning on the bridge like this, cupping your hands around your glasses, trying to shut the shade out, sunlight out, so you can see what's through the water. Now I've got a pair of glasses, so I'm just going to leave them. But guys out there, check them out. I ain't got a clue what they cost. Well, nothing for me. So somebody said take those and use them, whatever. So there you go, a really pair of lighted glasses made by Fish, called Big Fish, and they come with a little, I don't think they're expensive at all, I don't think, little tie bag like that. What else have we got? Oh yeah, I go down to the agricultural horse feed supplier where I purchased, this was for the River Barble trip, because I only go for like, I get up at 6 in the morning, drive 3 hours up there. I don't get a bait in the water till 11 o'clock, whereas all the locals, and member holders are there at 7 o'clock or something like that. I've got no chance of getting, hot swims or anything like that. But I soldier away and I do what I do, and I generally touch wood came out okay. And I came out okay this time for sure. But what I'm saying is you need to get the time, and then I just have a B&B, get up the next morning, which means I can get down for about 8 o'clock, some at 9 o'clock, something like that. I can't eat a fried breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, I could kill it about lunchtime, but I can't do that. So I just have to go a little bit later, don't I? But anyway, I thought I'd put some down here, but I haven't. I brought it in. I'll probably be able to put a picture up here somewhere of it. He said we haven't got the Bailey's horse feed. What? No horse feed for the Barble? So I figured, what can I do? So I said, years ago we used to use chicken meal. So the guy says, yeah, we get guys come in and still do use chicken meal, for ground bait. But I know it used to be really, really fine. And this stuff is totally different. This is for chickens, small ones, so it's finer. It's not like pellets. I've got to start grinding them up and soaking them. I want something I can mix as ground bait. But it didn't bind together, so I got some, I don't know what it is, black halibut type of fine ground bait mix additive stuff. I mix that with it, and it chunks up into balls really nice. I've got the balance about right. So that did me, well, for feeder fishing, I don't know what it's like catapulting out for a ball of ground bait. It might not bond together quite that well. But for feeder fishing, I had no trouble with it. So anybody wants some cheap stuff, £13.60 for 20 kilos, is that 80 something pence, 80 pence a kilo? Yes please, that sack will do me right through the winter. The other thing I was trying was different types of luncheon meats. I had various tins from the supermarkets, but I do seem to remember doing a luncheon meat film with Grant from Grant's Tackle Up, and he was talking about this luncheon meat he does, and it's much firmer. It does seem a bit firmer, so you can cast it a little bit farther. Now, two things here. You can use whatever luncheon meat you want. I'm not selling it, I'm just trying to say there are different types of luncheon meat, some are a bit fattier than others. Fish don't seem to mind. Maybe the greasy fatty ones, it gives more trail out in the water. Who knows, that used to be the theory anyway. But, how can I describe it? I do a lot of free lining, not so much float fishing. Free line it, put just a triple A shot on this last trip, a bit more water pushing through. I use an SSG shot, or what you call swan shot. Now, if I've got a long way to cast and the wind comes up, chances are it's going to fly off the hook, because you end up going that little bit much too ping, ping, ping. The stuff Grant's got, he's got a pallet of it, he's got plenty of it. He's definitely always said it better, pushing it in, turn it, and that you can cast it quite a long way. As just a little tip there, that some of the luncheon meats are softer, you know, when you cube them up. It might be worth trying something different, chop and change, have a go at it. But if you are looking for distance fishing, and I wanted to get on the other side of the river, up on the Y, you know, where the barbel were in the shadow line, I kept losing meat, and I thought I'm going to try Grant's one, and yeah, it does seem to hang on the hook pretty well and get you that little bit farther. So there you go, folks. Thanks for watching this one. Bit of a put together one, but at least you got something midweek to watch. Me, it's just getting dusk now. What is it? I'm doing this at 6:30. Starting to creep in. The nights are coming in. I'm going out in the garage. I'm going to see if I can shave the end of this quiver tip splice down and get it on the inside of here and get fishing again. So good luck to everybody out there. Hope that's of interest to you. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button. TA Fishing, TA Outdoors. Go over there and see what Mike's up to. Oh yes. Go and look on there. Mike goes up to do a survival thing in the woods, right? This is a film, it's just up. It's been up by the time we watch this, a week, not barely that. Some animals had left so many beer cans and so many barbecue trays there. It's unbelievable. So Mike didn't know this. He's got his knapsack, his camera equipment. He thought, I can smell burning here. Searches around, finds this forestry doss house place that they were at, and I can't tell you, I've seen beer cans with all of them, I can't tell you the heaps of beer cans there, so it must have been a real big group. But the area was half the size of my room here, had been totally burned out, and the fire was creeping, wait for this, it's a pine forest, through the ground, under the ground. And you go over and see Mike's film. He phoned it in on 999, he went back to the car, dumped all his gear, his back. He said, I'm going to scrub my own film, YouTube film, but yeah, outdoor film. I'm going to ask these guys if they will come out. Got the fire brigade out, and lo and behold, they gave him an interview as well, and you can see them working on it. So go to Mike's channel, TA Outdoors, if you want to see an absolutely genuine, very, very close to a serious forest fire. You'll be amazed, as I was, how it burns underneath the peat. All the fire people know this, people who've had fires, that it was spread. It looks like it's out. Mike's got it smoking. It looks burnt out. It was totally burnt out. So you can see why they're trying to ban these portable barbecues, can't you? They are a living nightmare in dry conditions. Oh my God. Check it out. We'll see you in the next film. Hopefully we've got something else different to show you, and hopefully I'm going to get this rod back in action and bent again. See you next time.